Great.
You're good to go.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. My name is Allie Dazzle, and I work for We Are Memory Keepers. I've been with them for 10 years, and I've done all kinds of things for them. But right now, I do their social media. I manage their social media. I'm also their brand ambassador. So you'll see me on Home Shopping Network. You'll see me on local TV spots. You'll see me at trade shows. I'm teaching workshops, all kinds of fun things. So I am super excited to teach this class to you today for an amazing program that we are proud to work together with Michaels to bring to you. And we're grateful for the partnership that we have with Michaels. It's been a thrill to bring this Spin It program to the crafting community. It is the first dedicated tumbler making program available in craft stores. So it's really groundbreaking and super exciting. Tumbler making is a really fun craft. If you haven't tried it yet, you're going to love it. It's addicting and it's really fun, and it's not as hard as it might seem. So we're going to go through that today. So just to give you a little background on me personally, I am a mom of 5 kids, 4 of whom are adults. One is an 11-year-old who thinks she's about 15. So we also have a little Yorkie, and we're Utah based, and we love it here. And I love crafting. So I've been crafting for over 20 years. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to come around to the other side of the table, and I'm going to introduce you to some of the Spin It products that you can find at Michael's stores. So obviously the main focus of the collection is the machine. This is the tumbler turner, and it's called the Spin It Pro. And the things that I love about this is, number one, it is USB powered. So you'll need like an adapter for your wall plug or some kind of a battery pack to power this. But what I love about that is that allows you to move this wherever you want. You don't have to worry about being next to an outlet or anything like that. So you can have some portability. The other thing I love about this is it has a removable arm. And the reason why that is so awesome, as you're going to see today, is this is great for when you're spray painting or when you're hydro dipping, which we're going to do today. Any kind of technique that you need to have something to hold your tumbler on with hands free, so you're not touching the tumbler while you're working with it. So that's great. The other thing I love is this support that I'm placing it into right now. Right here, and that allows for up to 32-ounce tumblers. So you can do your big tumblers on this, which we love to have our big giant diet sodas, right? So, and then the other thing that's great is the arm here, the end is spring loaded, so that holds any size cup nice and secure, and it's padded so it's non-slip. So it's just a great tool to have. The other things that you'll find at Michael's in the Spin It collection is bulk glitter in tons of different colors, different sizes. There are gorgeous mixes. There are some specialty materials like sawdust and other kind of cool materials. There are mica powders, so you can color your resin. There's even like glow in the dark and thermal and solar powders that change colors. So a lot of fun options. There's also decals. You can use vinyl decals to personalize or customize your cups. So many ways to really make an extraordinary gift or personal item for yourself to have. So, and great way to stay hydrated. So it's a lot of fun to drink out of these tumblers. These are just a couple that we've made in the Michael's classes over the past several months. This was kind of a winter themed snowflake winter wonderland tumbler, kind of fun. And then we did a mica swirl tumbler with the specialty powder. So this will change color with heat and light. So that's kind of fun. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do a hydro dip tumbler. Now this one is not totally completed. It needs its last coat of resin, and we're going to put that on today. But you can see the pretty pattern that you get on this cup when you use this technique, and it's really fun. And underneath the paint, you can see there's glitter. So we're going to add a glitter base and then paint on top of that and have it kind of peek out. So it's really fun. All right, so let's see, let's get started. So I'm going to show you some phases. If we could go to the overhead camera, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to show you the different phases that we're going to go through. So you're going to start with these. This is the Art Minds 18-ounce tumbler, and this is available at Michael's. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take some rubbing alcohol and a cotton ball, and you're just going to go over this and clean it. And this is a perfect opportunity to put this on the arm to get your hands off, so you don't keep adding more, oils, natural oils to the tumbler, because you want it to be nice and clean before you work with it. Once you've done that, you're going to spray paint it with this. My favorite is the Rust-Oleum Paint and Primer in one. So you just need to do a good solid coat. One coat is fine. And the reason we're doing that is because you want to have a nice clean canvas for when you add your colors. And that way your colors will really pop and really show up nicely. If you were to paint directly on top of this is going to kind of skew your colors. So you want a nice white clean canvas to work with. So you'll start with that. You'll allow that to completely dry before you go any further. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a coat of glitter. Okay. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's a resin coat because you want that to be nice and secure. You don't want your glitter to get disturbed by your painting once you do your painting. So you'll have 2 coats of resin on this. And so let's get started. Let me move my notes out of the way. And you will definitely want to have a few sets of nitrile gloves to protect your hands when you're working with the resin. Also, you're going to want to have a well-ventilated area when you're working with the resin. Our resin is totally safe to work with as long as you follow the safety precautions in the instructions. So actually today, what I'm using is American Crafts, which is our parent brand. And this is the color pour resin. You can also use Allumilite resin. It's really great. As long as it's clear cast or clear resin, it's not colored or anything like that, then you're good to go. So first, what we're going to do is tape the inside of this cup so that the resin doesn't seep down inside the lip of the cup. So I'm just using some masking tape, and I'm doing small pieces because this is a rounded surface that I'm putting these on. And we're just going on the inside here. And we are letting that, okay, great. Just want to make sure my sound was still on. We're just making sure that there's a little bit sticking up over the edge, and that's going to just kind of block the resin from going down in. So we'll just tape that and make sure it's nice and secure so that it doesn't seep underneath. You can use painter's tape for this or artist tape. Some people like to use washi tape. As long as it's secure, you're good to go. Should be our last piece. Yep. All right. So I've got that set up. And then here's how I like to place my tumbler on the arm, because there are 4 pieces that are spring loaded. So I kind of like to just squeeze them down and place my cup this way, being careful not to get the tape on the arm, which I did. But that's okay. We can just peel it up. And we're just going to press like that. And I like to get it all the way past these the little spring-loaded bits there, because I don't want the resin to get on my machine. And that's probably good enough right there. Okay, so you can see that the arm is hidden. The tape is there, and that's going to stop the resin from going where we don't want it to go. And then we're just going to screw that back in. And it's ready to go. Now, I actually forgot one little piece that I need. Let me grab that from my cart real quick. Sorry about that. So one thing I recommend is a silicone mat, and that's to protect your machine. So that's going to go right underneath there. And the nice thing about silicone is your resin will just peel right off. It doesn't bond to the resin. So that's great. We also have a silicone brush that's available at Michael's with a silicone tip for working with the resin, so that you can peel the resin off of there as well. So that's another handy thing to have. Okay, so we are ready now to mix our resin. So I'm going to grab three, I've got 3 little cups, and these often will come with your resin. And if they don't come with your resin, I recommend just using the small little paper cups. Those work great. The other thing you're going to need is some stir sticks. I just use some wooden, craft sticks. And often those will come with your resin as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Your resin is going to come in 2 parts. It's going to come in resin and the resin hardener. One is a slightly different texture, different consistency and different color than the other, so you can tell them apart. So what you're looking at with an 18-ounce tumbler is anywhere from 35 to 37 milliliters of total resin. So that's, about 17, 18 milliliters of each. And if you really want to measure those, you can. You can also, use a little measuring spoon or something. I kind of eyeball it because I've done this enough that I'm pretty confident with that measurement, especially in these particular cups because I use them all the time. So we're going to go to there. Now the trick is that you need to have exactly the same amount of each part of the resin. It's got to be a 1-to-1 ratio. If you don't have a 1-to-1 ratio, you are going to have problems when it goes to cure. It will not cure properly. So it's important to get that just right. So I like to just really look down and make sure that they're even. A lot of people like to use it like a scale, an ounce scale, so they can get it exactly even. And you're going to notice the hardener is actually just a bit thinner than the resin. So I often like to pour the hardener into the resin because it's easier to get it out. Now, it's smart to have a stack of paper towels and a trash can right next to you, just so that you can clean things off if you need to. All right, so I've got my resin in my hardener, and I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. And I'm going to make sure that I scrape as much out as I possibly can so that they're even. Some people, if you use an ounce scale, you can just pour one in and then pour the other in until you get to the exact amount. And that way you don't have to worry about scraping, or moving from cup to cup. But this is just how I've always done it. So this is how I do it, but either way is fine. All right, let's just make sure we get all that in. Okay, now we stir. And while we're stirring, we're going to stir for, most of the time it's 2 to 3 minutes. I would definitely, if you're not familiar with resin, I would definitely go for 3 or more, because you cannot overstir your resin, but you definitely can understir it. If you understir it, it will not cure properly. So I would rather have you err on the side of stirring it longer than shorter. So definitely 3 minutes or more if you're not used to working with resin. One thing to look for as you're stirring is it'll start out kind of cloudy and murky a little bit, and then it kind of goes to clear. That's one thing you can look for. It also gets a little bit thinner as the chemicals react with each other. This is a chemical reaction that you're doing here. And it kind of heats up a little bit. There's a little bit of energy happening here, and it gets a little thin. So that's one thing you can watch for as well. But you also want to scrape the sides and the bottom as you're stirring to make sure that you're getting all of the resin and the hardener mixed up, so that's not, there's no little bits hanging out anywhere that's not stirred together. The other thing to be wary of is bubbles. So bubbles are going to happen, but you want to stir maybe not super aggressively so that you don't get extra bubbles. There are ways to take care of those bubbles as we're putting resin on the cup, and I will tell you about those. And I actually could show you, I just forgot to grab it, but we can do that as well. So if you have a heat gun or a heat tool, that's a really great way to take care of the bubbles, because as you heat it up, they sort of pop while you're putting it on the cup. So, but I'll show you that in a minute. So we talked a little bit about safety. Nitrile gloves definitely want to cover your skin. This is a skin irritant. Definitely want to have a well-ventilated area. If you have respiratory problems to begin with, So a lot of people like to use some kind of a mask just to, avoid the fumes. So it's really up to you, but I mean, I've never had any problems with them. And I would just definitely read carefully all of the instructions on the epoxy that you're using and follow their instructions carefully. So the nice thing about resin is it allows you to add your, decorate and paint and do whatever you want to do with your cup. And then it seals that design in. So it can be washed by hand. Now, stainless steel cups always need to be washed by hand, not in the dishwasher. But it allows you to be able to wash those without ruining your design. So that's kind of it's a lasting gift. It's not something that they're going to have for a little while and then chuck in the trash, or whatever. So
we have a few questions, if that's okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So we have someone wondering if they're reusing a tumbler that may already have paint on it. Do they need to remove the paint in the coating, or can they just paint over it with the white primer and paint?
You probably could get away with painting over it, and that would be fine. Okay. If there's any texture to it, like if you've got vinyl on it or anything on top of the paint, then I would definitely take that off. But if you've got some paint on it, if you paint over it with the primer, then you're probably fine.
Okay. And Holly is wondering, can you use a tumbler that is already colored, like purchased that way as your base color?
Yes, you can. I've done that before. I've done one that was like a nice, pretty mint color, and I did a teal tumbler right on top of that, and it worked great. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. And do you have to do anything to it first if it's already colored?
You do want to clean it with alcohol first, for sure. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And just for I think it's Sonia. I hope I'm saying that correctly. How many ounces of resin for the 18-ounce cup?
So for the 18-ounce cup, I'm going to use 35 to 37 milliliters. That's how I usually measure it. So that's how much you'll need to coat the whole thing completely. Let me grab my heat gun really quick so I can show you how to get rid of those bubbles. And we'll get ready to coat this tumbler. All right. So once I've done that, you're going to mix your resin first. And then if you want to add any glitter to it, you can. Now, if you don't want to add glitter to the base, like if you can see, that does not want to stay. Hold on, sorry, on the table. Okay, there we go. So if you can see, there's a glitter base underneath here. If you don't want to add glitter, if you just want to have a white paint showing, that's okay too. Just so you know, you don't need to have resin, coat it with resin if you want to do that. So you would just spray paint with white and then go straight to the hydro dipping and then coat it with the resin completely afterwards. But if you do want to do the glitter, you need to have the resin there to kind of coat the glitter so it doesn't disturb your your painting. Okay, so we've got our resin ready. Now we're going to add some glitter. This is a pretty glitter mix called fairy dust. That's like holographic silver with several different sizes in there, and it's just really pretty. That's a really fun look. So we're going to add some glitter to that. I honestly don't ever measure how much glitter I add. I would just say be careful that you don't have more glitter than resin. And you want to, I don't know, I would say maybe a couple teaspoons at the most. That's probably what I'm putting in there. No more than 2 teaspoons, I would say. All right, and then we're going to mix that up. And get all the glitter in there. All right, and now we're ready to coat. So we're going to scoot these out of the way and move the machine in here now. Also, in addition, you probably noticed I have a plastic tarp over my work surface. You're going to want to do that for sure as well as this silicone pad because of the painting that we're going to be doing. So just make sure you've got that. And if any drips from your resin happen on the plastic, you can just throw it away. All right, so we'll get this machine going. Then, oh, I forgot another wonderful thing about this machine, hang on, is speed control. So you can do slow roll, you can do it faster. That's awesome. I love that you have control over the speed of your machine. So that's a great feature as well. So let's get this started. Spinning. We're going to go a little on the slow side so that we can get this resin on. And I'm going to use the silicone brush to kind of help distribute it. And as it spins, it's just gonna, we're just gonna keep doing this until we get it all over the cup. And if you want to at any time, feel free to stop it and focus on a specific place. If you need to, it's really up to you how you want to do this. That's the beauty with this machine, is you can control what's going on. Right, and you can notice this is not totally covering, obviously, so that's why we have the paint underneath, because you want to have that coverage. But now we're just adding a layer of glitter on top. As far as colors go, I do recommend using a light color for your base. I used white. You'll always want to start with white, but if you want to do like a light pink or a light blue or a light green, on top of that white, you could do that as well, depending on what kind of color scheme you're using for your cup. So that's an option as well, but always start with the white, then add the other colors on top of that. If you want, if you're doing it by yourself. Now, the question about buying a pre-painted tumbler, you can go ahead and buy, like I bought a mint tumbler and then I did teal glitter on top of the mint. So that's a possibility too, because they do sell, some places sell colored tumblers. All right, so, and the nice thing, as the reason why you want this spinner, if you're not familiar with tumbler making, the beauty about this tumbler turner is the resin is self-leveling. So as it spins around, it creates a perfectly level surface. So that's kind of cool, as long as you don't put too much. If you put too much resin on, you're gonna get bubbles and buildups and bumps and things that you don't want. But as long as you stay within the the right amount of resin for the particular cup you're using, you should be good. Just make sure it gets all the way up to the lip of the cup, that you've got coverage all the way up to the top, and on the bottom as well. Down here at the bottom, you need to make sure that's covered. And once you've gotten everything on, then what I usually like to do is just kind of I like to kind of get at an angle where I can see the light sort of reflecting off of it. And that kind of helps me to see the spots that don't have resin. If I don't see like a shine, because this is a really shiny product, and then you can kind of move your brush over that and make sure you get that coated with resin completely. So you want every bit of this tumbler coated in resin and sparkly glitter. And this glitter application doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, as far as like distribution of the glitter, because this is not your end product. Now, if you were just going to stop here with just a glitter tumbler, you are going to want to make sure you have much more glitter on here. But since this is underneath another coat, we don't have to worry so much about if it's distributed perfectly. We do, however, want to make sure that the glitter kind of lays flat. So that's part of why I'm going over it with my brush as well, is to kind of smush down the glitter so it's laying flat and not poking up. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to get a little bit right here. Flatten that out. Okay, I'm happy with that. All right, so once you've done that, I'm going to turn it up a little bit faster and let it spin a little bit faster. Now that I don't have to worry about application and stuff like that, I'm going to let it go a little faster. So what you're going to do is you're going to let this sit spinning for 6 to 8 hours. Once the 6 to 8 hours is up, you can remove the tumbler from the machine, or you can remove the tumbler from the arm and just let it sit with the bottom facing down, not on this, with the top facing down, so the bottom's up in the air. And you can let it sit for, I would do 24 hours for sure, to let that fully cure. So I think you're getting the idea here. This is a multi-day project. This is not the kind of project you could do in an afternoon, which is fine. The nice thing is most of the time it's just spinning. It's just, or it's sitting and curing. So you don't have to hang out with it for, 24 hours. I do like to come and check on it periodically just to make sure the batteries aren't dead on my battery pack, or, that everything's okay. Obviously not overnight, but all right. So we're going to let that spin. And I have one that I've already completed. I'm going to scoot this over here. Just let that continue spinning. Okay, so here's one that I've already completed. It's all cured and ready to go. And we're ready to paint this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my table down. This is an adjustable table so that we can see the spray paint when I do that. Oh, you know what? Before we move on, I just want to show you how the heat gun works for removing bubbles. So while your epoxy is still wet, you're going to take your heat gun and you're just going to do like maybe 5 seconds, maybe once around, all the way around. And you're not going to get super close. You're going to keep it maybe 4 inches away. And that's just give it a quick shot. And that is going to help pop the air bubbles. So you don't have air bubbles in, because that, if there are too many air bubbles, that can be problematic. They'll pop and you'll see them in the surface and it just won't look quite as smooth. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay. All right. So that should be good. And now we're ready to move on. Okay. So let me crank my table down a bit so we can see this 5-gallon bucket. So you're going to want a 5-gallon bucket or some kind of a tub that's a similar size. So you have plenty of water in there, and the water needs to be room temperature. If it's too cold or too hot, you are going to have problems with your paint, most definitely. All right.
And how long do we let that tumbler spin for?
So you're going to let it spin for 6 to 8 hours. And at that point, you can remove it from the machine and just let it sit with the bottom facing down for until it reaches full 24. So that's another 18 hours total. So you have 24 hours total cure time. All right. Okay, so here's my water. I chose some analogous colors for my scheme. Analogous colors sit near each other on the color wheel. So they're sort of in a similar family. These are, Krylon's great, Rust-Oleum's great. They're all available at Michael's. You can pick, an analogous color scheme. You can pick complementary colors that kind of pop with each other. It's really up to you. I would say 3 to 5 colors at the most, and including your base color. So, no more than 4 cans and then your base color. So just make sure your paint is nice and, you're shaking it really well. It's ready to go. And you're going to just spray paint directly into your bucket on the water. And that paint is going to sit on the water, and it's a very cool technique. Okay, so before I start spraying, I'm going to prep my arm. I have another machine right here. Okay, so I've removed my arm, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a plastic bag just to protect it so it doesn't get paint all over it. I've just got a little gallon Ziploc bag here. You can use any kind of plastic bag as long as it's leak proof. And then I'm going to place my glittered tumbler onto that arm on top of the plastic, like that. Okay. And this is just like your grip, so you can hold it to do what you need to do. Let me make some space over here when I'm done with it. Okay. So let's go ahead and add our paint. I don't think it really matters, what order you do it in. I would just repeat that order, whatever you choose to do. And you're going to do 3 or 4 sets. Sorry, I struggle to get these caps off because I am not super strong. Now these are paint plus primer, so they offer good coverage. I don't think you necessarily have to do that, but it's good because it really gives you some good coverage. Oh, hang on, there we go, got it. Okay, I'm going to start with this color. And we're just going to spray directly into the water. And again, well-ventilated area. Let's get some dark pink in there. And then this light pink is a contrast. And then we're going to repeat that series 3 or 4 times. And this is what creates the cool kind of streak effect on your cup, is just having all of these different colors right next to each other. So it's really cool. All right, let's do that one more time. And last one, and then we're ready to dip. Now, the cool thing about this technique is it's different every time. You're never going to get exactly the same cup. So that's kind of cool. So you're going to hold your cup at an angle. And as you're dipping it in, you're going to rotate it. So you get like some movement in your paint. So let's give it a try, see what comes out. Get it all the way down and pop it back up. Look at that. How cool is that? Very cool. And then what I like to do is just turn it upside down, get all the liquid out. And then you're going to set it aside to dry on the arm, right? So all you need to do is, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Just making sure. I think I lost one of my AirPods. Okay, so you're going to set that down to dry on the arm and let that dry for the full amount of time. I do recommend, I would wait for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and then with a dry paper towel, just kind of suck up the little bits of water, if there are any droplets of water, and just kind of, gently suck those up kind of all the way around, so that you get the droplets of water off before that paint dries. And I like to wait maybe 15 or 20 minutes just so it's not totally fresh paint. So you're not messing up your paint. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So while we're here, any questions about the dipping process?
Can you confirm what temperature the water should be?
Okay, so room temperature, I think my husband said he filled it for me. He said it was 73 degrees. So like what your thermostat's set at, I would say, 68 to 74-ish is just fine. That would be great. Anything in there?
Gotcha. And how many cups can you cover with that amount of paint? Can you do multiple, or should you like redo it?
I usually redo it because you sort of destroyed the circular pattern in there. But you could experiment and give it a try. You probably would get a cool look. It just might not be exactly the same design as what we've just done. Now, what I do, like you can see here, I'm cleaning it up with the paper towel. All you need to do is just go in there and soak up that paint before you dump the water out, because you don't want to be dumping paint into the drain or anything. So I usually dump it in my yard somewhere. Any other questions?
Yeah. So did you wipe it down with alcohol prior to dipping it after applying the glitter, like in between those coats?
Oh, no, you generally don't need to do that. I think you're okay. It's just the initial, with the resin, it's the initial, it's any oils from your hand or, from manufacturing or anything like that. Oils will cause problems with resin. So that's why you want to do that. But after you've painted, you should be fine to just go ahead and put your resin on. Any other questions?
Yeah. Do you ever use black with any other colors, or does it overpower anything that you use it with?
Black does tend to kind of overpower. Let me show you this one here. This is about as dark as I get. So this is like a midnight blue, a navy blue kind of, and that's just me. I would do some research online. There's so much available on YouTube and on the internet, and see if you can find any with black and kind of how other designers have treated the black. But for me, black tends to kind of overpower, so I tend to stay away from it. But you know, I think it's all kind of personal preference.
And did you sand the cup at the beginning or no? You just painted and primed it.
Yep, just painted and primed.
Well,
all right, so I'm
it.
actually, yeah, right. So for today, what I'm going to do, since I've got to go ahead and move on and I only have 2 of these machines, I'm going to remove this pretty painted cup and we're going to use this arm, but you would leave it on there until it dries if you were doing this at home. So we're going to add this onto this machine so we can go ahead and do the final resin coat. And before we do that, any more questions about what we've done so far?
Yeah, so can you reuse the water with more paint, or do you have to dump out the water every time you start over?
As long as you're using the same colors, you can reuse that water after, you know, if you want to clean out the paint and then spray again. If you're changing colors, I would definitely change the water.
Gotcha. And if you need to start over, like maybe you don't like the design that came out, how do you wipe the paint off?
Okay, great question. I use pure acetone, and that will remove the paint. Also, just so you know, like you're probably going to get some paint inside the cup because some of that water gets inside when you dip it. And you can wait for that to dry and then use the acetone with a paper towel and wipe the paint out of the inside, and it comes right out. So acetone is your friend. You're going to want to have some of that handy when you're working with the paint. This also, if you do resin and you don't like your resin coat, you know, there's some imperfections or whatever, you can soak it in a resin bath and in a acetone bath, and the resin will come off. But you have to soak it for quite a while. So for like several hours. So just so you know, this is your like backspace delete button for when you're working with paint and resin.
Gotcha. And the dry time is also 24 hours for this coat?
For the paint, it'll depend on the manufacturer. I would follow the manufacturer's guidelines, you know, to get your dry times for that.
Okay.
So I'm going to move my table back up a little higher so we can get this resin coat on. And I'll also show you a little trick. So when you're hydro dipping, you don't have a ton of control over exactly how the paint is applied. And you might have some spots where you don't see your base coat, your glitter coat, and you want more of it to show through. So that's another opportunity for you to pull that acetone out and use your designer eye to get exactly what you want. So let me just show you really quickly how you would do that. So this is already dry. So I would do this. This step would be done before you've completely dried your paint, I would say, where it's to the point where you can touch it without ruining it, but it's not fully dry. So all I'm going to do is just kind of go in there with a paper towel and just remove a little bit of that paint. So hopefully you can see that. And you're just going to kind of do it in streaks, or you can use a Q-tip. You know, you can, anyway, that's a little harder once it's completely dried, but you can see how the acetone, you know, I did that here in a few spots where I just let more of that glitter peek through so that you can see that base coat. So that's just another tip. And let's mix up some more resin and get this coated. What did I do with my resin? There it is. And there it is. Okay. So let's see, there's my other cup. All right. So we're gonna do 35 to 37 milliliters total resin for the 18 ounce. Now there are other techniques when you're coating cups with resin that you might need more or less. It just depends on what you're doing. But just for a basic coat, for coating the whole cup, this is how much you're going to need. Almost there. Okay. There we go. And another stir stick. And if you wipe out these plastic cups before the resin hardens and kind of wash them out, you can reuse them, which is great. I love that you can reuse stuff. Plastic, reusable plastic is always better. So, all right, we've got that. We're going to stir again. This will stir for 3 minutes at least. And I'm going to make sure I get this all scraped off the sides and the bottom. All right, so any other questions about the process while we're stirring?
Yeah, how much resin did you use right there?
35 to 37 milliliters. I think that was probably about, to be honest, that was probably more like 16 or 17 milliliters each. But this is going to be a thin coat. So I think we're okay.
Gotcha.
You don't need to use too much. So I would say, yeah, 35 milliliters total is probably fine.
For one coat.
For one coat, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so the acetone that you recommended, does it need to be a particular type of acetone, a particular strength? Is nail polish okay, or does it need to be stronger?
Yeah, and so it needs to be pure acetone. So sometimes for nails, they'll use like a acetone mix, so it's not 100% acetone, but it really needs to be pure acetone. That's the strongest that you can get, and you can get that, you know, over the counter at, you know, any drugstore or whatever.
Okay. And if they're wanting to put any sort of vinyl decal on, would they do that before this final resin coat or after?
Yes, good question. I'm glad you asked that. So yes, you would put that decal on top of the paint once it's fully dry. After you've completely, you know, if you want to go through with your acetone and get some more glitter showing, make sure you've finished all of that. You're just about to put your coat on and you're going to add your decal. Then you do your final coat. Good question.
Gotcha. And for solid glitter tumblers, would they add more glitter to the resin directly when they're adding those coats? Would they sprinkle it on the tumbler, or would they just use more coats?
Good question. All right, so with just solid glitter, you're going to do a coat of resin first, a thin coat of resin first, and then you're going to sprinkle your glitter actually directly onto the cup on the resin coating before it dries. And then that way you can make sure you've got a really good coating of glitter. Some people, you know, if that's how I like to do it, because that way you get a really solid coating of glitter. I have one somewhere that's glitter coated, but I don't know that it's easily reachable. But if you don't mind the base color, like the whites peeking through, then, you know, you don't have to worry about how much you have. But to get a really solid coating, put your resin on first, a thin coat, glitter on top of that, and then let that cure, and then do a coating to seal the glitter on top of that. So.
Gotcha. And is there a difference, like what's the difference between using a heat gun versus a blow dryer?
The heat gun gets hotter and it's more directed heat. You could use a blow dryer. It's probably not going to be quite as effective. Actually, professional tumbler makers will use like a little mini torch to do that. So, you know, I think the heat guns are probably your best option unless you have a torch.
And someone heard that sanding is a must. And obviously you said that's not particularly necessary. Is there a difference between the time frame as to how long the tumbler will like last
without sanding?
Yeah.
I have had some tumblers that I don't sand for 2 years and they're just fine. So, you know, I don't know, maybe it depends on the type of paint you're using. I'm not sure, or that, you know, as far as I know, that's not necessarily a step you have to do. You know, like I said, I have tumblers that I've had for 2 years that are just going strong, and I didn't sand before I painted or, you know, added resin or anything. So, but if, you know, if you've seen a video or, you know, some explanation that says to do that, and it's maybe a particular kind of paint or something that needs to, you know, have a rough surface, go for it. I don't think it hurts, you know.
I think that's all we have for now.
All right. Great. Well, good thing because we are ready to add our resin. So let me take this off. Well, I can probably squeeze it here just for time's sake. Oh, tape, sorry. Okay, so I would, normally I would tape the lip here. We're gonna just go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna be super duper careful. But go ahead and tape your lip again so that you don't have resin creeping over, and get your silicone mat to protect your machine. Some people put, if you want to put just paper underneath there or something else that you can just crumble up and throw away, you could do that too. I like the resin just because I can reuse it. I mean, I like the silicone because I could just reuse it. All right, so we're gonna get this spinning, and we're gonna kind of do a little slower roll. Whoops, sorry, got some resin on there. Hold on, let me wipe my hand. And if you do get resin on your machine, just wipe it off quickly before it cures, and you should be just fine. Okay. Now we're ready to add this final coat. Hold on, this isn't quite straight. That's one thing you do want to make sure is that your cup is straight and level so that as it spins, it's not drooping. Otherwise, your resin won't cure properly. You'll get bumps and lumps and pooling. Okay, so I'm just going to go for it. And this is a thin coat, so it doesn't, I mean, it needs to cover everything, but it doesn't need to be super thick or anything. And the thing about resin is it really adds such a beautiful shine and finished look to your project, which is really cool. And again, a nice long lasting project. All right. I leave a little bit, like I do most of it, and then I leave a little bit so I can fill in the places that need it. But first I'm gonna smooth out as much as I possibly can. And I'm gonna get down here on the bottom a little bit. So that's sealed as well. All right, let's just spread this out. And my girls are so funny. They aren't fans of drinking water, but you put it in one of these cups, one of these tumblers, and they'll drink it.
Same.
So just sip out there, Mom.
Even if it's for some reason if it tastes better with a straw. I don't know why, but it does.
Yes. We bought a whole series of washable straws, reusable straws for that reason. So yeah, this is a great, especially as we're coming, into the summer and the warmer months, and you want to keep your kiddos hydrated. This is a great way to do it. Also a great gift idea for birthday or anniversaries, maybe a new mom, to keep her hydrated. All right, I think we've just about got everything covered. I might just go over one more time to get the edges from edge to edge. Yeah, that's looking good. All right, we're just gonna go from edge to edge, and then I think we're good. So you will, same thing with this layer as the other layer of resin, is you're going to let this spin for 6 to 8 hours. And then you can, if you want to, you can remove it from the machine, or you can leave it on. And it doesn't need to spin necessarily after that. Spin for 6 to 8 hours, and then cure for total 24. And then you're good to use your cup, which will be really fun. So that's about all I have, unless there are any other questions about tumbler making, about the process, about hydro dipping.
Yeah, so we've got a few now.
Okay.
So when you're adding vinyl, is it permanent or removable? I'm assuming that has to do with what coat you put it on.
Correct. So the best way to keep vinyl on, they say that vinyl can go, certain kinds of vinyl can go through the dishwasher and it's permanent and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I don't know a crafter that has ever seen that actually happen. So the reason you're going to put the resin over the vinyl is so you can wash it and it stays. So it's permanent. So if you're putting a resin coat over that, it's going to be permanent. If you want to have it removable so that you can change up your saying or your phrase or your design, then put it outside of the resin coat once it's fully cured. I guess we can probably go to the front on camera now if you want to switch there. There we go. Hello. So if you want to switch up your vinyl, put it outside of the resin. If you want it to be permanent, put it under the last resin coat. Any other questions?
Yeah. So what made this last layer a thin layer? It's like
because you don't have, compared to the other ones, because there's no glitter in it. You don't have any glitter in it. And it's just meant to you don't want it to be super thick because it's just sealing in your final design. So it doesn't need to be, none of these layers should be super thick, right? Too much resin is a bad thing. But this one, because it doesn't have the glitter in it, and with the glitter you need a little bit more room in the resin for the glitter to lay in there. So
okay. And have you made anything else using this process besides tumbler cups?
Good question. I personally have not, but I have seen people use it on fabric, on paper. Hydro dipping is a technique that can be extended out to all kinds of other crafts. I'm sure you could do a hydro dip canvas. There's a lot of fun ways that you could do hydro dipping. That's a really good question. It's a technique that spreads across the craft world. So
yeah. And can you use any type of vinyl, glitter, foil, or does it matter brand wise?
It really doesn't matter. I'm trying to think what I used. I think just make sure it's a good quality vinyl. I know like the Spin It program has some that are specifically made for, trying to remember what, hang on, let's see if it's got it on here. Oh, I don't remember, there's a name for it. For the type of glitter that does better over 3D surfaces or curved surfaces, so you don't get the. Honestly, I can't remember. If I think of it, I will have it added to the YouTube description. But some vinyl does better over curved surfaces, if that makes sense, and it doesn't bunch up on you.
More flexible.
More flexible, yeah.
Gotcha.
But honestly, I know crafters have used all kinds of different vinyl, and as long as you've got a nice brayer, a tool that can flatten that vinyl out, you should be fine. Even a credit card works great for flattening that.
Yeah. And how do you clean the top lip of the cup if the resin does get on it or inside?
Okay. Great question. So what I usually do is I take just a craft knife, a nice sharp craft knife, and I just kind of go around the rim. And since that layer is so thin up there, I would do that. You could probably do that after the 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, before it's fully cured, and just go right around with a craft knife. Because at that point, after the 6 to 8 hours, you can actually touch it and it won't disturb the resin, and just get that vinyl off the lip there. Good question.
And when you're spraying that paint in the bucket, did the designs change based on where in the bucket you spray the colors? Like if they sprayed it on the side instead of the middle?
Yeah, that would probably change it. The way you get those kind of rings as it goes out is by spraying it basically in the middle, and then it kind of goes out from there. So that's how you kind of gonna kind of get that streaked look on your painting. But you can totally experiment and try painting in different areas and see what you come up with. That might be a kind of fun thing to do.
Yeah. And is epoxy the same as resin?
Yes, it is the same. As long as you've got a clear cast epoxy resin, often it's called epoxy resin. It's the same thing. As long as it's clear cast, you're good to go. And it's a 2-part resin.
And that first step of epoxy and glitter, was that really necessary, or can they just dip it minus the glitter altogether?
Yeah, that you can totally do that. You can just do as long as you've got an initial paint coating on the bottom, like you would do your white, and then if you're doing it from a stainless steel, starting with stainless steel, do your white, and then if you want to pick a different color, a light color, make sure it's a light color as a base. You could do that too. You could totally skip the glitter and then do your hydro dipping on top of that, and do a final coat of resin on top of that. So yeah, you don't need to add glitter. Good question.
Gotcha. And what about acrylic tumblers or plastic tumblers?
You can do acrylic or plastic tumblers as well. Those work fine. You would also want to do a base coat of paint on that as well, so you have a nice canvas to work on. But I've seen a lot of plastic and acrylic tumblers done as well. And some people like to do wine tumblers, that kind of thing. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
And
baby bottles I've seen.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, sippy cups. So yeah.
And will this process work on glass, on wine glasses?
Yep, you could do this as well on glass. You just need to be really careful because those can be delicate. So.
Yes. And do they need a lid, or can they put their mouth directly on it?
You can put your mouth directly on it. Just be sure that you're using a resin that's food safe. That this resin that I'm using is food safe. So as long as it's a food safe resin, then you're fine.
Gotcha. And can you add glitter to the water when you do your paint?
No, I would not recommend adding glitter to the water. And the reason is it's science, physics, it's surface tension. So that glitter is going to kind of break up that surface tension, and you're not going to get the same results as you dip your tumbler in. I would definitely do glitter the way we did it here if you're going to do it, for sure. Good question.
And I think one of our final questions, unless anybody's, they want to know about ceramic cups.
Ceramic cups. That is a good question. I don't know that I have ever seen ceramic cups done. Probably, I don't know.
They usually have a glaze on them, don't they?
Yeah,
to keep
exactly.
things from sticking.
Yes, exactly. So it would have to be glazed, I would imagine. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'll have to research that. So sorry, I don't have the answer to that, but we'll figure that out
next time. Right. And how much resin is needed for the bigger size tumblers, like 20 ounces and 30 ounces? Do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand, but I bet if you search online, somebody's got a chart. I'm sure somebody's made a chart for size of cup versus how much resin. So good question.
Everybody has that friend.
Right.
I am that friend.
Awesome. All right.
That was it. Everybody had a great class. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you spending your time today to learn how to do this. Tumbler making is super fun. And my recommendation is, if you're just beginning, there are a lot of Michael's classes. I've done 3 or 4 of them. Check those out. Also, there's a lot of information online about tumbler making. This is the kind of craft that you're going to want to kind of educate yourself a little bit before you get started. But once you've done that, it's really fun. And these are, again, great long-lasting gifts for yourself or for loved ones. So be sure to check out the whole Spin It program at Michael's. There's a lot of fun materials to work with to make your creating easier. And have a great day, and happy crafting, guys.